Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today to discuss Will BYOD, Bring Your Own Device, Bring Field Service to Life. ServiceMax and Jolt Consulting Group have a great presentation for you today, and we want to ensure all your questions get answered, so please feel free to submit them as we go along, as we'll stop from Q&A at the end. In case you were wondering, we will be sending you the final webinar recording and slide deck. So without further delay, I'd like to pass you over to Michael Israel, EVP and Principal at Jolt Consulting Group.
Thank you very much, Naomi. Again, my name is Michael Israel, and I am with Jolt Consulting Group. Jolt Consulting Group exists for one primary reason, and that is because we believe that service is the great differentiator. So just a bit about Jolt Consulting Group quickly. First of all, our focus is strictly and exclusively on field service and field service operations. The principals in Jolt Consulting Group have more than 50 years of direct field service operations experience, as well as a great deal of experience in field service software itself. As a result, we are marketing experts in field service operations as well as field service software. Among the services that we offer are selection, identification, evaluation assistance to companies that are evaluating field service solutions. And in fact, we are also an implementer of field service software, and today we're proud to announce that we are a implementation partner of ServiceMax and are actively involved in a number of ServiceMax implementations. So that's a little bit about Jolt Consulting Group. Now on to the topic at hand. What we want to talk about a bit today is bring your own device deployments and implementations. And there certainly are a number of benefits and merits, but there are also some potential risks. And in moving forward here, in my brief part of the presentation, I'd like to first acknowledge that everything that I'm covering in this part of my presentation was derived from research that has been done by a number of organizations, and you'll see that at the bottom of the screen, including Aberdeen Group, Cisco Internet Business Solutions Group, the Gartner Group, and Forrester Research, as well as others. So to start with, BYOD appears to be an absolutely unstoppable trend. And there are a number of reasons for that. Among them are that it allows organizations to leverage declining consumer electronics prices more effectively than they otherwise might be able to. It does not limit the ability to deploy future innovative work applications to devices based on technology restrictions of aging devices. And employees want today, and they will get it, whether you allow them to or whether you want them to or not, the latest available technology to help them manage not only their personal lives, but to manage their work activities as well. In fact, today, more than 7 in 10 people use personally selected smartphones and or tablets to manage work-related activities. And that is a trend that has significantly accelerated over the past 10 years. In fact, over the past 10 years, the use of people's own devices to work on work-related activities has accelerated by over 70% in the last decade. And today, in the United States, there are over 70 million employees who are using their own personal devices to access work-related data and work-related applications. That is expected to grow significantly over the next few years. The United States leads in the number of people using their own devices today. But by 2016, China will take the lead and will have more than 165 million employees using their own personal devices for related activities. There are a number of merits and benefits to BYO deployments. Among them are some significant productivity gains. And the productivity gains come from a variety of reasons. First of all, employees with their own devices can work anywhere at any time using any device to engage in work-related activities and update records and complete service calls, et cetera, et cetera. The ability for employees to use their own devices fosters and encourages greater employee collaboration. And that's very, very important in a field service environment, obviously, because many times technicians need to collaborate with and ask advice from other technicians on how to resolve certain problems. And their ability to use their own device and social media to accomplish that certainly increases productivity. And in fact, the surveys that the research companies that I've talked about have suggested that more than 2/3 of organizations who are considering or have already deployed BYOD programs have cited productivity gains as a key driver in doing so. And those productivity gains can range anywhere from 3 to 11% in the United States alone. So think about that for just a minute. If you have a 10% productivity gain per week, or even a 5% productivity gain per week, over the course of a year, a 5% productivity gain means that an average technician or an average employee will pick up an additional 2.6 weeks, I believe is the math, in productivity. So the productivity gains can be quite significant. There are also financial gains that can be realized and financial benefits. Among them are corporations can realize lower capital budgets and lower mobile device and mobile service costs. And that's because some of the costs can actually be outsourced to employees. In fact, employees are very willing to invest in their own devices, as mentioned in an earlier slide, in order to help them work better. And today, an average employee or an employee owns an average of 1.7 devices, and they've spent an average of $965 on those devices. So that's potentially money that can be saved by the organization, or at least part of that money could be saved by the organization. The ability for employees to use their own devices can create a competitive advantage, and the productivity gains can also allow employees to spend more time with customers, both of which can yield greater revenue for the organization as well as greater customer satisfaction. There are also some gains in terms of, the financial gains. According to Cisco Systems, the financial gains can amount to up to $1,650 in value per year per BYOD user. So if you have 100 technicians, 500 technicians, 1,000 technicians, that can amount to a very significant amount of money. There are also gains to be made in terms of employee morale and employee satisfaction. First of all, employees' ability to use their own devices is very appealing to younger, highly tech-savvy potential employees. They're more likely to come to work for you if they think they can take advantage of the latest and greatest technology that they already have. And existing employees are more likely to stay and less likely to move on to a competitor. Employees can shift their workplaces and times to any place, anytime, anywhere they want to work, which provides them, of course, with greater work flexibility, work style flexibility. It affords them the opportunity for a better work-life balance, and also allows them to be a bit more innovative when they're using their own devices as opposed to a corporate mandated device. And they're able to adopt new technologies at greater speed than they might otherwise be able to if they were tied to a corporate mandated device for a period of time. There are, however, some potential risks to consider. In addition to the benefits, there are also some potential downsides and risks, and these need to be considered very carefully and planned for in advance of a full BYOD deployment program. Among the most important things that need to be addressed are corporations need to study and develop reasonable policies regarding, and very strict policies actually, regarding security at the device level. They need to have policies developed regarding employee reimbursement. How much is going to be reimbursed? What is the frequency of that reimbursement? How does that reimbursement happen? There may be other HR, legal, or regulatory requirements that need to be considered and planned for. For example, the use of employee devices in healthcare environments, in maintenance in healthcare environments, perhaps where there are some stringent HIPAA regulations. There need to be policies regarding replacement and maintenance. Who's responsible for that? Is it the company or is it the employee? And what are the data backup practices and frequency requirements, and who's doing that? Is the employee responsible for doing that, or does the employer themselves take some responsibility? There need to be realistic work-life balance expectations set for the employees. And in some tax jurisdictions, there may be some potential employee tax implications with regard to reimbursement policies, and those need to be evaluated, studied, and planned for. There are also some potential additional costs involved. For example, if employees are using their own devices for their own personal activities as well as work-related activities, then obviously that software and those applications need to be separated. And so there may be an investment required for dual persona support software. Organizations may need to implement, if they have not already done so, enterprise mobility management, mobile device management, and network access control software and infrastructure. There may be some risk, additional risk of loss or corruption of corporate data. There may be some additional requirements for education, especially if employees are using a variety of devices and they need to be educated on how to access and use the applications from different devices. And a patchwork of devices, a wide variety of different devices being used by employees in an organization, may require broader knowledge and support capabilities from the IT group. There are also potential risks involving employee morale and satisfaction. For example, where will employees be willing to adhere to corporate guidelines and strict security requirements? They may have some anxiety about losing or having data corrupted that belongs to the organization with that data residing on their own personal devices. Some employees may be worried about intrusion into their lives and loss of some privacy and some intrusion by the corporation into their personal information. They may have some fear about work-life balance. In other words, will the corporation expect them to work more hours simply because they have access to corporate applications and corporate data on a real-time 24/7 basis? And they may also have some apprehension about reimbursement policies. Are they fair? When is reimbursement going to happen? How is it going to happen, et cetera? So in summary, this BYOD movement is absolutely an entrenched movement, and it certainly does not appear from any perspective that it's going to slow down or stop. BYOD programs provide both tangible and intangible benefits. Tangible benefits in terms of productivity gains, potential financial gains, cost reduction, and intangible benefits, which are hard to measure from a realistic standpoint, but are definitely there in terms of employee satisfaction, employee morale, and the impact that employee satisfaction and employee morale can have on customer satisfaction as well. And perhaps most importantly, proper planning, consideration, and preparation for BYOD programs in advance is absolutely essential and will definitely help minimize the risk of deploying BYOD practices and programs. And with that, Vidya, I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the insightful discussion and discussion topic, Michael. Welcome, everyone. The topic again for today is, will BYOD bring field service to life? My name is Vidya Chidaga. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at ServiceMax. And for the next half hour or so, this is the agenda that I have. I feel like we have to level set and talk about why BYOD, like why now? So I want to go through the evolution a little bit, not bore you guys, but hopefully you would relate to the stuff I'm saying, quickly ask you a poll question, and then move on to the second bullet that you see here, which is around technology, technicians, and I wish I found another T. I couldn't, so I said field service. It's basically about the triangulation of these three elements, and I'm going to talk to you about how this is driving service revenue and growth and so on. And then I have something which is very tangible. I like it in my webinars when I can give stuff that you can take back at the end of the webinar and say, okay, these are a few things I have to think about as I'm doing something. In this case, what are the 5 do's for a successful BYOD strategy if you're putting it together? And finally, I'll tie it together with ServiceMax and BYOD and open it up for Q&A. So the constant companion, I want to take you back to the early 2000s. You know, when internet was pervasive, you literally had to go to a physical computer to use it, right? Obviously, the tasks were limiting. You could only do data entry. You could do stuff that required maybe creation, input. You were stuck to the table because you were behind a desktop. And then came on demand and SaaS and cloud. I mean, we are just riding this wave. and finally we've landed on the mobile revolution, and you can see that the usage for communication and content consumption has absolutely spiked at this point in time. You know, we all remember the very few CEOs or the very few sales guys, even before the CEOs, the sales guys who had BlackBerries, and that was it, right? Then came the CEOs and CFOs who started iMessaging each other on their iPhones and their iPads, and that was the cool and oh my God, did you know that? Did you see that kind of thing? But now everybody wants to bring their own device to work. It's not just restricted to the executives. What some call the consumerization of IT has started an avalanche, and it's headed our way. It's already here. What's interesting is a US-based study in 2011 found that half of the mobile phone users, including you and me, would give up caffeine and chocolate and alcohol and so many other pleasures before giving up this constant companion, your mobile phone, right? That's crazy. And today, with over 6 billion mobile phone subscriptions, the mass adoption of these app-ready smartphones, and the incredible rise of, you know, like the tablets, you can see that truly mobile computers and computing has become a constant companion. With that, I feel like this is the perfect time to open up a poll. I want to ask a question. I mean, I'm trying my best to try and indulge you in this conversation. What does BYOD mean to you? And, you know, do you think it's a technology breeze or a fad? You know, or is it bring your favorite mobile devices to work? Or you're like, I don't understand how it applies to field service, right? I'm looking at costs and I'm looking at warranties and claims. How does BYOD and field service come together? Or lastly, you would say, you know what, I don't understand it, and that's why it's not for me. You know, it could be any of them. I've deliberately given you a wide range of options to pick and choose from. So when you come back and when you tell me what is BYOD, that's going to be interesting from your perspective. And I see that the early poll results are what I expected it to be. I was hoping that it would be that. Oh, there you go. So great. I'm so glad that almost 2/3 of us on the call understand that it's about bringing your mobile device to work, but it's also that 36% of you are saying, okay, I get that shit, but tell me, how is it going to apply to field service? With that, let's go on with my discussion, and let's talk about, and I'm going to keep the numbers in mind as we go through this webinar. Why is BYOD happening now? I mean, there are so many reasons for the shift towards BYOD. The most obvious one is the booming mobile devices, right? And it's hit mainstream. Obviously, we are in this app-centric world. There's an app for everything. Kids in kindergarten draw a square, and instead of saying A for apple, they say A for app. That's crazy, but that's true. The age demographic shift is significant. The workforce entering field service arena is younger. You've got more of that demographic hitting the work area now. Then you've got the fact that half of the U.S. adults own a smartphone. Again, the capabilities are at parity. Devices used in business and the ones that are used for personal use are not too different, right? In the early 2000s or mid 1990s, a device used in the business world would look totally different from a device used by a consumer, but that's not true today. Then again, you know, the computing power has become at par, if not better, so that you can use such a tablet in a business setting. And again, advancements in network performance, all this, cloud computing, just the fact that you're able to store stuff in the cloud and different mobile devices accessing the same information anytime, anywhere. This is the trend, guys. I mean, consumerization, I have to go slow when I pronounce that word. I had to put it in hyphen because everybody's talking about it. It's a trend. Consumerization of mobile devices, consumerization of IT, it's basically the same thing, which is saying business and the consumer worlds have collapsed. The walls have collapsed. It's now one. It's interesting that 40% of workers will be using devices of their own choosing by 2014. That's crazy. I mean, you got to go with the wind, otherwise you'll be left behind. And needless to say, as Michael said, there are tons of gains to this too. At the highest level, employee satisfaction. He spoke about a lot of the employee morale things, financial gains. All this is a part of why this is happening right now. And then again, I mean, where there's, you know, when you have the calf, you have the cow. Where there's mobility, there's BYOD. It's so difficult to talk about BYOD without talking about mobility and HTML5 because they are the three sides of the coin, if you know what I mean. So again, the workforce is getting younger. You know, the average age of the technician is going down. Adoption of newer tablets is increasing. Business life has gotten interconnected. With BYOD, the techs now have access to, you know, along with the fact that it's got the cool factor and the Zen-like experience, think about the brand image. Think about your technician flashing an iPad when he goes to fix something at the customer site. That is priceless because now he's not just able to get the customer to sign off on this iPad so that your cash flow is expedited, but now he's also able to generate a bill, a pro forma invoice at the point of service. That is real dollars that's adding up to your bottom line. And delighting customers and mobility and BYOD go hand in hand. I want to drive this slowly towards the technician. Remember the three things I said, technology, technician, and field service. This is the technology, the technician part of it. We've said enough about technology. We know how BYOD is where it is today. Let's talk about this technician that you and I are such good friends with. They love apps, and they love it on their mobile device. As the screenshot shows, you can see that they've got personal games on it. They've got Fruit Ninja. Maybe they've got Angry Birds. Actually, studies have shown that such a device wouldn't be abused because they've got their kids' pictures on it. They've got family videos on it. They are using this both for personal and for enterprise applications. And they are using this to make their kids happy at home and to drive customer delight in the field. And this is a great slide from TSIA. I love this. I mean, in a nutshell, surely I'm not going to go through all the bullets, but when you get this deck and you go through these line items, you know how field service apps are delivering customer delight. You're keeping, right from scheduling all the way back to time and effort, you're keeping exact appointment times. You know, customers' attention span is reducing, their patience is going down. They don't want a 4-hour window. They don't want to wait for that long. You're going to lose these customers. Getting one new customer is so difficult, and you don't want to do that. Obviously, dispatching, diagnosis, repair, access to training videos, just the fact that you're able to log the actual work performed with respect to the arrival time and the departure time, parts used, labor, being able to upsell and cross-sell. Just imagine your technician is there and at the customer side he sees something that needs to be fixed, which is not in the work order. He can quickly pull up the cost of this part, maybe the cost of a product, cost of labor, and just quote the customer right there and say, you know what, it'll take me another hour to fix this. It's going to cost you so much because this is outside of the preventive maintenance I've come here to do or whatever. That is the value of having such a field service app, and then imagine having it on a mobile device of the technician's choice. So this section of, I'm moving on to the next part of my discussion here with you guys, which is to leave you with about 5 tangible, doable tips as you formulate your overall BYOD strategy. Define your IT strategy, assign a policy police, set up a program for BYOD, have a dedicated web page in your intranet, you know, have a dedicated page just for BYOD, and guys, give it up your own spin, and I'll tell you what I mean by each of them. So when you define the IT strategy, I want to take a minute to explain why I'm saying IT strategy. The business folks understand the value in letting their users, their technicians, their dispatchers bring their own device to work. I think the bigger headache is for the IT folks, because they are like, oh my God, are you kidding me? All the potential risks that Michael spoke about with respect to policies and costs and employees, all that directly relate to IT. So my doable tip to you guys is define a short-term strategy. You know, even for IT, it's all about making sure that the BYOD strategy is yielding efficiencies in making sure that resources are properly utilized and time is properly managed. So when you start off with defining an IT strategy, policy management, just look at, you would obviously plan, right? And around policies, make sure that you're setting the same set of standards for personal devices and corporate-owned devices. There would be, when it comes to software, managing devices with a mobile device management, MDM solution, so that it works seamlessly with your existing operating system. Thereby, you know, the IT is able to easily onboard, you're able to manage, and you're able to secure these smart devices that are getting connected to your actual corporate network, right? And it'll also help IT to guard against security threats and unauthorized devices tapping into the network. And these are things they have to think about. The infrastructure controls in place, making sure that you know, even if you have to erase data for some reason, if a mobile device is lost, this BYOD device that this guy has gotten into his workplace with his personal stuff gets lost on a trip or on a visit, you can at least make sure that your MDM solution is able to protect and erase maybe the private confidential company information, but secure and keep the personal information like pictures and apps and music libraries intact. All of that. Training is super critical. Educating folks on what the strategy is and pulling people together is critical. Now, long term, again, it's you know, making sure that you have application management and maybe appropriate services in place like cloud services or security services, any third-party services you would need down the line. That would be a big part of the IT strategy. And last but not the least, start small. I mean, go with a small division, roll it out to a small team, see how it works. Policies are better defined when you go small. That's my first tip. The second is the policy police. I was at this conference, the field service show in Chicago a couple of months ago, and it was so interesting. All the service leaders who were talking about BYOD said their biggest inhibition was policy control. They said, we don't know how to design a policy, how to come up with such a policy which is all-encompassing, which is something that has that's considered all aspects that we don't even know we should consider today. And Gartner has a couple of great reports. We can help you go through some of these, the policy assessment and establishment. But at the highest level, BYOD approach means that the business user and the technician, or whoever the user is, they have to reach a new understanding. The organization will give the employee the freedom to maybe choose an appropriate device. In exchange, the users, the technicians, have to agree to give up at least a minor amount of control over their personal devices, right? So you can start off by pulling the right people into a team, form a cross-functional team, right? Make sure that you have presence from legal and HR departments for taxation. Remember, Michael spoke about minimizing risk with taking appropriate tax implications into consideration. So involve that team. Think about corporate liability and employee privacy implications. That's something to think about. And then start with a standard policy, you know, that you can apply anywhere. The policy doesn't have to be 20 pages long. You can maybe start with a 2-page long, which is like the bare minimum kind of thing. And then you can maybe create customized versions by country if necessary, by department, by teams, but that will help you in a planned rollout as well. And you can determine, your BYOD policy can determine, should you allow people to use and what type of devices best fits their needs. You can manage the device, you can detect jailbroken devices, you can perform a full or selective wipe of applications, data on the device. There's a whole bunch of things, but you have to put it down in a policy, and that's the police I'm talking about. So setting up a BYOD program. So this is super cool. I'm sure this is something you guys are thinking about if you're doing BYOD, or if it's, and I'm trying to bring this down to field service, wherein you're saying, hey, in field service, if I have to build a robust program for supporting personnel-owned mobile devices, you have to give the technician the freedom of choice. Make sure there's secure enterprise connectivity, and make sure that he has the power to be productive on that preferred device. I mean, if he comes up with some wacky device, and you can say, okay, listen, this program, our policy does not let you do that. So you can set up a program and make sure that this is effectively tracked. And I've noted a few others on the screen here, being able to wirelessly configure settings, monitoring corporate policies, remotely wiping or locking devices. Most of those last three are around making sure that the device has that capability so that IT can remotely do stuff on your device. Otherwise, it's like, oh, where is he? If it's a corporate device, then you know that the stuff on it is just meant for work and not for personal use. So this is the line that you have to define and put in the program. The dedicated web page is super important. As we are talking about, remember in the IT strategy, I spoke about maybe increasing the efficiency of an IT organization. Here, with this web page, you can actually support that. Have a self-service support model. Have a page, make sure that you are able to dedicate a section and create a BYOD community. Obviously, users can be onboarded fast and securely. Employees can sign up easily on this page. Maybe users can get up and run quickly and get running quickly by accessing this page for step-by-step instructions on connecting mobile devices to the corporate network. Remember, you don't want these guys coming to IT for these kind of things. And that's why the self-help, self-service kind of web page is going to help you. You can have reference documents, you can start a wiki, you can have instructional videos. And I like the last one. I'm thinking of myself, I'm in marketing, but if I'm ever a technician, I would like to have some fun apps on my mobile device. And if you as a company can tell me, hey, these are the 5 productivity apps or the 5 fun social apps that are featured and you can use them, that's good to know. I just saw a commercial on the TV the other day for a smartphone, and this was for parental control, but can be brought to corporate as well, wherein you're saying after using a particular application for a set amount of time, that application would close down for the rest of the day. I mean, just small things, but you can absolutely say, don't play Angry Bird for more than 15 minutes in a particular work day or something. Finally, last but not the least, give it your own spin in the sense that, you can have unique reimbursement plans. I know that Michael spoke about the potential risk being cost, right? It may get expensive, may not get expensive. It just depends. So your reimbursement, you can make it a flat rate. You can say all employees with personal devices would be paid $50, $100 per month, or you can say a percentage of the total cost. You can define it, and you can decide what works for your business. And then I love the device diversity. Again, some of the definitions of BYOD out there talks about a very strict, all-inclusive device diversity. But in our experience at ServiceMax, we see that our customers have gotten really creative. They either have a BYOA strategy, one of the big medical device manufacturers we have, who's rolled out about 700 or so Apple devices in the field. They call it the bring your own iOS strategy. Anything, their IT team is standing by to support Apple devices, and so they're okay as long as you're sticking to that operating system. So as you can see, you can give it your own spin at the operating system level, at the carrier level, at the device level, manufacturer level, whatever. I like CYOD too, because I think that's what companies are doing today, wherein they're saying, we give you a list of devices to pick from, and you choose your own device. Because you know that it's still, it's pretty varied. They would have taken a poll, they would have found out the most commonly used and well adopted devices, and they go and publish the list that way. And pick a field service solution that is device independent. I feel like this is, I've gone so much on talking about the device and the technology. I did not talk enough about the field service solution itself. So make sure that the solution you pick for field service is something that's completely operating system, carrier agnostic, it's HTML5 based, and just make sure that irrespective of which device you're picking, it's the same user experience. You're not training the technician on every new device that he has to buy when the old one is broken. So that's that. Oh, in the interest of time, I would have to speed this up, but I'm leaving you guys with this deck. So McKinley Corporation down in Los Angeles is into equipment manufacturing, both for residential and for office use. As you can see, they sell, install, whole bunch of things. So they picked the ServiceMax Mobile for iPad app to replace reams of paperwork for work orders and invoices. It's so crazy that now with the ServiceMax Mobile app on their iPads, the technicians can record each service visit and consult a detailed technical document repository under the watchful eyes of the customer, right? So customers and technicians can view, they can talk about stuff, they can sign off work orders on the site, and McKinley is so excited that they're finally not chasing paper. So that's their big BYO iOS strategy. Finally, just wanted to again present these over to you, and with that, I just wanted to bring everything together, all the stuff we spoke about. BYOD truly does help bring field service back to life. In that, you're riding the wave. It's just happening. This is the right time of this decade, this point in time where mobile computing it's revolutionized the industry. You've got carriers and manufacturers and developers, everybody flocking to this mobile computing environment, and that's just great because that's giving us so many options. Then the technician persona itself, you've got younger technicians, you've got folks who are appreciating the apps, who are readily embracing these apps in their personal and professional life. And then finally, service business itself. I mean, it's moving from being a cost center to a profit center. No longer are field service organizations thinking of themselves as cutting costs. They're now saying, how can we upsell, cross-sell? How can we make more revenue and be a profit center in the organization? All this comes together. You see the little pile of cash there? That's how field service organizations are going to get revived by BYOD. I hope that equation matched up. And there are companies like ServiceMax, I think we are the only one, by the way, who believes in helping customers deliver flawless field service. Now that you've got the right technology and the equipment, think about perfecting your service delivery right from the time you sell the product and you've signed the service contract all the way to when your technician leaves the customer and there is analysis and reporting and you see the dashboard all the way end to end, maximizing your service revenue and growth, and in the process, on this journey, delighting your customers. This is just really quickly talking about what ServiceMax is. We are a complete cloud-based field service solution, an end-to-end solution. Of course, I'm not going to talk about any of them in detail, but at the highest level, under contract, we've got everything from install-based management, warranty management, auto entitlement checks, to service plans, pricing constructs, discounting, quotation, and so on. Under scheduling, we've got work order management, we've got advanced scheduling, we've got automated scheduling, workforce optimization, and so on. And parts is pretty robust. It's parts logistics and reverse logistics, depot repair. If it's outside of field service, you have a depot repair service strategy. That's a robust module as well. And then social is at the core of it. We have social collaboration. We've got Service Pulse for technicians. We've got Ticker for executives. And Product Pulse is pretty cool. That's when a product says, yeah, I'm down, and you dispatch a technician to go fix the product. Portals, customer and partner portal, and all this on any mobile device of your choice. We bring plethora of field service expertise to the table, with over 200 customers and growing in so many continents across the globe. I think it's only Antarctica that we don't have customers in. Maybe we would one day. Just at the highest level, our apps are, we have an award-winning iPad app. We've got ServiceMax Mobile for smartphones, ServiceMax Mobile for laptops. The laptop app is also the highlight of our upcoming release. One thing really quick on this slide, just want to say that ServiceMax is a 100% cloud-based solution. It's built on Force.com, from Salesforce.com. We extend the Service Cloud into field service, and that's ServiceMax. And also, ServiceMax is HTML5 based, which helps us meet the demands of BYOD. It's, you can deploy it to any device, any platform through the browser. You get the same consistent look and feel, irrespective of which tablet or whether it's a laptop or a smartphone. Again, it's completely agnostic to operating system and carrier. And all this helps our customers design once and deploy anywhere. I hope this brings a smile on the IT folks on the call. This thing. Sorry, just a sip of water. We surveyed our customers. We are, as you saw with Michael, he was talking about so many ROI numbers. So we surveyed about, we had 50+ customers respond to the survey, and this was in January of this year. And look at the productivity increase, and these are average numbers. You can only imagine the outliers to bring this kind of a number. Service revenue increase of 14%. That is big. McKinley Equipment, the ones that I just showed the case study, they saw a service revenue increase of 38%. That is amazing. And Michael was talking about if there's a 10% increase in productivity, there's almost a 2.6 weeks per year of gain. And now imagine a 31% gain in productivity. It's just insane. That's the value of ServiceMax. And to that end, there's tons of free content on our new website, ServiceMax.com. You can download data sheets, case studies, lots of white paper, videos. We have an upcoming event. Our annual event is called Maximize. It's happening this year in San Francisco from the 2nd to the 4th of October for our customers, and for our prospects, it's happening one of the days as well. For it's a half-day program. Registration is free for all the prospects who are our potential customers, and this is the URL you can click on to go and register for free. The fancy build on the slide. Yes, there's tons of hands-on training and industry experts. You'll hear, actually, you know what? You will hear from McKinley. Oh my God, they are a speaker for the prospect track. That's amazing. You'd get to network with the industry experts. We have customer sessions. You would hear from our CEO, Dave Yarnold, and learn about, you'll see a live demonstration of our product innovation and some of the cutting edge features. With that, I just want to leave you with how excited I am that we are at this special point in time. Just the fact that we are able to present an HTML5 based solution for any mobile device, the fact that ServiceMax and the industry itself has now access to a cloud-based product, field service product, and platform. Mobile technology advancements are happening at the right time. Field service is no longer looked at as a center in red, but we've gone into the black. We are a profit center now, and in all of this, it doesn't help. It makes me wonder. Are we truly this unforceable, unstoppable force that we are seeing? It may not stop with BYOD. It may take us further into BY IT or something where you bring your own collaboration systems and you bring your own social network, and that's the future. But this is a fantastic point in time to be, and I welcome the discussion that we can have for the next few minutes. Both Michael and I are standing by to take your questions.
Yeah, hi, Vidya. It's Michael again. I had a question come in that I was chatting back and forth on the chat here with the questioner, and I wanted to just talk about it a little bit further. If that's okay with you?
Sure.
Yeah. So the question was, we talked about work-life balance, and the question came in: what do you do about hourly-based employees? That is employees that are not receiving a standard monthly salary, so to speak, but are on an hourly basis. And how do you control that to make sure that they have the proper work-life balance? I guess this is where the policies become very, very important. So you would need to consider a policy that specifically addresses hourly employees and the amount of time that they spend off the clock, so to speak, doing work-related activities using their personal devices. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed in the policy, and the policy could be such things as long as you're not on the clock, you're not allowed to use your personal device to access and update corporate data. Or maybe it could be somewhat flexible and say you're allowed to access corporate data up to 2 hours a week or 5 hours a week or whatever. Or maybe you're allowed to access corporate data as long as you record your time on some kind of a timesheet so that we know exactly how much you're doing outside of normal work hours. So I think the policy is extremely important, because if you don't have a policy in place, especially with hourly-based workers, especially if they are union-based workers, I think there's an exposure down the road where someone could perhaps say, okay, for the last 6 months, I've worked an extra 2 hours every week accessing my application, my work application, using my iPad or iPhone, and I did not get paid for that time, and therefore you owe me overtime for 2 hours a week for the past 6 months. So I think that there is some exposure there, some risk, if the policy is not really well defined and really well understood and really well agreed to by those hourly employees. So just some consideration when you do have hourly employees, that the policy is extremely important.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome.
I have an interesting question come up, and this is close to my heart, so I'm going to take it first. How do you calculate productivity improvements? And that's a fantastic question. It's loaded too, by the way. So I'm just going to take a stab at it, and hopefully the person who asked the question would agree that at least I'm coming closer to answering his question. So if you were to look at from a formula perspective, I would say productivity increase. We try to calculate, when we surveyed our customers, we asked questions around improving the first-time fixed rate and improving the repair time and improving the number of jobs per day per technician. So, for example, Coca-Cola Enterprises had a Wall Street Journal article where they said because of ServiceMax they were able to increase the number of jobs from 5 jobs per technician per day to 6 jobs per technician per day. So that's an increase in productivity. Repair time, because you have mobile devices and you're able to take a mobile device of your choice and you're able to pull up a video just because you're stuck, instead of sending a second truck roll for the same job. By the way, that costs $1,100 on average, just a second truck roll. Instead of that, if you're able to just repair the first time around, repair it fast so you can go to another job, all this is productivity gains. And that's a great question. On our website too, there is a white paper that I've recently authored on exactly that, which is how do you improve the technician productivity. So that's it. And I also encourage you to go to our website, play with the free ROI calculator, which talks a whole lot about productivity improvements as well. With that, let me move on to the next question. Have you considered the medical field dealing with protected health information, which is PHI? Yes, and we've actually done a lot more than that. We've got medical device manufacturing companies, some really big brand names that I'm not, well, I should ask them before I name them. But if you get in touch with us, we can talk about them. You can talk to them, and all about regulations and making sure that you're following all the regulatory restrictions that come as a part of your industry requirements. One more, and this is, we have people that often aren't always online. Does ServiceMax work offline? Absolutely. I mean, our apps work in the disconnected mode as well. So much so that we have customers where they either have to send technicians kind of under the ground. We've got GE Oil and Gas, and their technicians don't have access all the time. So many of our customers behind the security screen of an airport or within the hospital, they don't have access to the internet, and they have to be able to still work. They have to be able to pull up their calendar, their work order, present parts pricing, present quotations, be able to generate a pro forma invoice. Everything can be done offline. And as a matter of fact, our Summer 13 launch, which is at the end of August, is the big part of that. The big showcase is around offline capabilities on various devices. So there's one more. Is there liability risk if the user is accessing work data while driving and causes or gets into an accident? Maybe not for everyone, but in California we have no text law. Absolutely. I live in California. I know that. So I mean, accessing work data, this is a classic example of what you would put into a policy. This is what I mean by defining policies. Maybe you start with the standard policy, and then you decide to change it per state, per geography. So that's amazing. The next question is the offline mode also available for the HTML5 versions? Yeah, it's our app, like the iPad app. It's an app. Our Windows HTML5 based app is an app, and it's the same app which would be available. You can set the same rules for offline and online, and you can reuse the rules, so the rules don't change. Your data validation rules or other performance rules don't change. I love this question. What ERP systems does ServiceMax interface with? Well, obviously no field service solution can exist in isolation. It's always about connecting to back-end systems and ERP systems. We can talk about integration at length, but to just answer your question, we connect to a varied number of ERP systems, including SAP and Oracle, including QuickBooks and Mass 200. I mean, you name it, and we have customers who've connected to systems. So the next question is around Salesforce.com and ServiceMax. My company, XYZ Global, is now working with Salesforce.com. Are there synergies between Salesforce and ServiceMax? Absolutely. I mean, we are tied at the hip. We actually, ServiceMax is on the App Exchange. We are built on Force.com. which means that we use all the standard objects from Salesforce.com, and ServiceMax objects are custom objects on the same platform. So the synergies are not just at the technology level, even at the Salesforce level, the sales team level, our teams work together, marketing works together, product teams work together. We are always in sync, so much so that our product releases are timed after the same release cycle of Salesforce.com. I think even our annual fiscal year is on the same cycle. The next question is around, does using ServiceMax require using Salesforce.com? And the answer is no. You can be ServiceMax customers and not use a Salesforce Service Cloud or Sales Cloud at all. It's just like any other platform. Like if you have an Oracle database underlying, you can still be, you know, I want to say a Salesforce customer or an SAP customer. So it doesn't matter what the underlying platform is. We OEM Salesforce.com. So when you pay for a per user license fee at ServiceMax.com, that includes all the required objects from Salesforce.com. I hope that helps. And there's one more where it said, does your app integrate with existing corporate IT infrastructure? Absolutely, it does. I mean, integration is a common question that comes up, and at various levels, we integrate right from Slack files to you know, if you want to do a one-time data load, data transfer, you want to do a real-time bi-directional synchronization on an ongoing basis, batch, scheduled, whatever. Yeah, all kinds of integration. And I think, Naomi, we are at the top of the hour. You want to take it from here?
That's it. Thanks very much, Vidya, and thanks, Michael, as well. It was very insightful. And thanks, everyone who joined us today. Just as a last reminder, we will send you the final recorded webinar and slide deck.